Good Thursday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. In today's weather forecast, I will be tracking a dangerous severe weather setup today on Thursday, March 2nd into Friday, March 3rd, with a moderate risk of severe weather across the deep south, followed by a major snowstorm setting up across the Midwest, the Great Lakes, and the Northeast throughout this weekend. And then an Arctic blast, and a significant Arctic blast at that, will take aim on the lower 48 by the time we get into the middle of March. But if you guys are with me here on the channel and you want to support the channel, hit that red subscribe button down below the video. It helps out to get all of this daily weather forecast updates each and every morning at 9 a.m. out to as many people as possible. And so you guys have the content each and every morning. We are quickly approaching 24,000 subscribers on this channel. So again, hit that red subscribe button down below, guys, and it's definitely much appreciated. But going back to yesterday, these are yesterday's storm reports for Wednesday, March 1st. We did have some severe weather. In fact, we did have an enhanced risk, which was a level 3 of 5 on the severe weather scale. And we actually measured up to 1 tornado report so far. And I do feel like this number will be growing with more of those damage surveys later on today. We also did have 13 wind reports, 32 hail reports, with 3 of those being of hail of 2-inch or larger in diameter, for a total of 46 severe weather reports from our Wednesday on March 1st. But if you guys are with me still on the video too, though, do not forget to press that like button down below. It's the thumbs up button. It helps to get all of this weather information out to as many people as possible across YouTube, so I definitely appreciate that. But going through the day today, we have a pretty serious situation on our hands. We have a moderate risk. It's more of an upper echelon type of severe weather event today. This is a level 4 or 5 on the scale, in the red shaded color from northeast Texas towards the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex there in I-20 on east, towards southeastern Oklahoma, southwestern Arkansas, to northwestern Louisiana, and then a much wider and more widespread area of severe weather in the orange shaded color. That is a level 3 of 5, an enhanced risk that extends farther east here toward Memphis, Tennessee, Jackson, Mississippi, and as far west as the Killeen, Texas area and the Waco, Texas region in central Texas later on today. And looking at the individual hazards from the severe storms, we do have a widespread zone of a 30 to 45% shading of significant damaging winds that could be over 75 miles per hour. So these are your hurricane force type of wind gusts today, as well as some significant hail, a 15 to 30% hatched area for hail as well, which means we could be seeing some 2-inch or larger type hailstones over the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, southeastern Oklahoma into southwestern portions of Arkansas, and perhaps a small area there into northwestern Louisiana toward the Shreveport area later on today. And then also finally the tornado probability. We have a 10 to 15% hatched area for tornadoes, which means a long track strong tornado or two is possible in this area from the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and I-20 here in East Texas on eastward to Tyler, Texas, Shreveport, Baton Rouge, getting up there toward the Jackson and Tupelo, Mississippi region, Little Rock, and even the Memphis, Tennessee. You want to be on high alert for the possibility for strong, violent tornadoes later on today. And looking at the setup today is going to be pretty interesting. We have all of this warm, moist Gulf of Mexico air advecting northward out of the Gulf of Mexico into the Arklatex region later on today, with these dew points in the low and middle 60s, but also the kinematics with this system. We have some very strong wind shear rounding the base of that trough as it moves across Texas today. On the eastern side of this trough, we have some very powerful mid-level winds rounding the base of that trough here across East Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, and those will be the areas at highest concern for severe weather. But we also have a very robust low-level jet as well, pumping in all that moisture directly from the south out of the Gulf of Mexico up here across the Arklatex and the mid-south today as well. That's going to create that low-level shear as we have the mid-level jet from the west-southwest, but the low-level jet coming in due south. So we're going to have some turning of the wind with height as we go out through the atmosphere. So looking here at noon time frame today, a couple of thunderstorms trying to fire up. These could be severe, so you definitely want to be on high alert even at the noon time frame. But the more widespread severe weather will start initiating across north central Texas into portions of southeastern Oklahoma, southwestern Arkansas, and maybe even as far east as northern Mississippi here as we get to the 3 o'clock time frame. This back toward the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex is where we will have to watch for strong tornadoes, very large hail over 2 inches in diameter, and even those 75 plus mile per hour wind gusts, that will start to develop more into a squall line as we go into through the evening hours. So this will be about 9 p.m. here through this evening, a squall line of storms from western and central Arkansas down through the I-20 corridor into East Texas and even approaching the Shreveport area. This will turn more to a widespread damaging wind and hail risk, also with very heavy rain, but we still might have embedded tornadoes within the line, those QLCS tornadoes, and then that will sweep eastward into Friday morning at 6 a.m. That will be arriving into middle western Tennessee, getting into eastern Mississippi and down to the New Orleans region by the time we start off Friday morning at 6 o'clock. But just to remind you guys what the tornado products that the National Weather Service offices uses, a tornado watch means a tornado is possible. Be prepared. Weather conditions are favorable for tornadoes in that environment in a tornado watch, but a tornado warning is more serious. A tornado warning means a tornado is imminent. Seek shelter now in a basement or a storm shelter. If you do not have those options to you guys, you definitely want to take shelter in the lowest, most interior room away from windows, and that will definitely save your life. If you guys have bicycle helmets, football helmets, or anything like that to protect your head, definitely want to have that handy going through the day today. But also the heavy rainfall threat is going to also be a big story across the Arklatex and the mid-Mississippi Valley here, from northeast Texas through eastern Oklahoma, much of Arkansas, getting into southern Missouri here, into southern Illinois. From now through Friday morning, we could be talking about a widespread zone of 2 to as much as 5 inches worth of rain, especially centered on Little Rock, Arkansas here. And that does raise the concern for flash flooding from today into Friday morning. In fact, the Weather Prediction Center is already hoisting a moderate risk for flash flooding here from northeast Texas here, getting into eastern Oklahoma, much of central and northern Arkansas, including the Little Rock region, up here towards Jonesboro, Arkansas, and then getting into the foothills of Missouri. And then even that slight risk for flash flooding continues farther east-northeastward towards the Evansville, Indiana region, western and central Kentucky here by the time we get through Friday morning. But then as we get into Friday, all of this severe weather and flooding shifts off to the east. So looking at the severe weather threat on Friday, we have a large, marginal, and slight risk for severe weather here all the way northward, including southern Indiana, southern Ohio, up here toward the Columbus region and Cincinnati. And then even farther south, we have that slight risk for severe weather into the Knoxville region, Chattanooga, getting into Lexington, Kentucky, Atlanta, Georgia, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, the western Carolinas here as well. And looking at the individual threats, 60 to 70 mile per hour winds is likely going into Friday here. A lower end threat for large hail. We're not going to have a ton of instability to work with like we do have today on Friday, but still seeing some smaller to medium-sized hail. But then we're also looking at a tornado risk, at 2 to 5% shading of tornadoes here across the southeast, the Tennessee Valley, and the lower Ohio Valley as well, right along the Ohio River here from Evansville, Indiana, through Louisville, Kentucky, as well as getting up into the Cincinnati region by the time we get in towards Friday afternoon. So looking at the setup by Friday morning, 9 a.m., we got that squall line still hanging tough across much of the Ohio Valley, the Tennessee Valley, and the deep south. This is going to be propagating farther to the east, and by the time we get to mid-afternoon on Friday at 3 o'clock, we're going to see more of these supercells moving up across the mid-Atlantic and then farther south into the western Carolinas. We definitely have to watch out for that. You do see to the north, though, there is a cold side with this system with some snow, and that will be moving across the northeast with some heavier bands of snow into upstate New York, getting into Vermont, New Hampshire, the Boston, Massachusetts region, including Cape Cod, and then that I-95 corridor from Boston all the way down through to just north of New York City. We'll be seeing some heavy snow Friday evening. But looking at the rainfall threat here at first, we are going to see some heavy rain across the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, and the Northeast. Anywhere in these blue and purple shaded colors, we'll be talking about easily 1 to 2 inches or more of rainfall going into this weekend. And that is a cause for concern for flash flooding, a marginal to slight risk again for flash flooding on Friday, March 3rd, going into Saturday, March 4th, centered on central, southern Ohio here, getting into northern portions of Kentucky, central and southern Indiana, as well as southeastern Illinois, with that slight risk for flash flooding on Friday into Saturday. But we did mention the snowfall potential on the northern side of the system. On Friday, we're going to have marginally cold temperatures, just cold enough to support some heavy see wet snowflakes out there, and that will be flying around the Great Lakes and Midwest on Friday afternoon. And then as the system pushes across the east, this is going to be providing us with more, at least deeper cold air for more snowfall across the Northeast as we get into that Saturday, March 4th timeframe. So looking initially at those snowfall accumulations and what they could look like from Friday, March 3rd tomorrow through Sunday, March 5th here through late this weekend, it does look like a healthy swath of snow here from the Midwest through the central Great Lakes and much of the Northeast here, winning out with the heaviest of the snowfall accumulations up there. It does look like we're averaging about 2 to 5 inches worth of snow here from central Michigan back through the Chicago, Milwaukee regions, and then getting as far westward as the Davenport Quad Cities, southeastern Iowa, into northern Missouri here with at least a couple inches of snow during that Friday, Saturday time frame, and then pushing eastward here, southeastern Canada, so Toronto, Montreal, getting some decent snow, 6-7 inches there, and then all this heavy snow will be shifting across the Northeast, so upstate New York, so Albany, New York, getting up there toward the Watertown region. We could easily be talking 6-7 inches there. Vermont, New Hampshire, getting through much of Maine. So the Concord, New Hampshire area, getting up there toward Portland, Maine, Augusta, and even the Caribou region into Maine. We could be talking about some 6 to 10 inch totals up in these areas. Boston, Massachusetts, you're going to be very close to that sharp cutoff. I do think we still see 3 to 5 inches of snow there. Down toward New York City and including Long Island, again, missing out on the heaviest totals. I think we see a dusting to maybe 1/2 inch of accumulation. But again, if this wobbles north or south, that'll change the snowfall totals significantly through this weekend. So keep tracking that here on Weather on the Go. But definitely looking at those winter storm impacts, we're going to see at least minor to moderate impacts, especially across the central Great Lakes here into northeastern Illinois, southeastern Wisconsin, through much of central Michigan and the Northeast going through this weekend. So you definitely want to take travel slow, especially across the Northeast on Saturday into Sunday morning, and leave with plenty of time for your morning commute on Sunday. But looking at the long range weather forecast from March 7th through the 11th, it does look predominantly colder as we have a colder air mass behind this system being pulled down across the Northwest. And this will actually penetrate farther south toward the Gulf Coast by the time we get into the second full week in March. This goes all the way to March 15th. And you can see much of the lower 48 actually experiencing well below average temperatures for March here during that second week. So we'll continue to watch that. But looking at the Europeans' Ensemble guidance, it does look like the temperatures will be trending much colder here for not only Western Canada, but also much of the Intermountain West, the Great Plains here from the Dakotas all the way to Texas, and much of the eastern 2/3 of the country, including the Ohio Valley, the Southeast, and even Florida as well, below normal by the time we get to that March 13th timeframe on average. But we still will have that active subtropical jet. That subtropical jet will still be activated toward that second week in March. So with the colder air moving south and any storm systems that we can start to develop across the desert Southwest and following that subtropical jet across the Southeast, definitely could be putting down some snow farther south. So places like the Ohio Valley, the Missouri Valley, even the Central Plains here definitely could start seeing some snow getting in toward that second week in March, toward the middle of March here, and that's something we'll be tracking in the coming days. So to recap my weather forecast, a dangerous severe weather setup ahead for today and tomorrow. I will be live streaming later on today. If you guys want to join the live stream, that will start around 3 o'clock or so this afternoon. A major snowstorm will be moving into the Midwest, the Great Lakes, and the Northeast this weekend with significant snow totals through especially the Northeast through Sunday. And then a significant Arctic blast here through the middle of March. Again, with an active storm track, more snow will be pushing farther south into the Central Plains, the Missouri Valley, and the Ohio Valley, getting into that second week in March toward the middle of March here as we move forward through the long range period. So thanks everybody for watching. I definitely appreciate it. If you guys liked the video, press the thumbs up down below. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new, and hit the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. Have a great Thursday, everybody. A great rest of your week, and I will see you all in the next video.